They moved without hesitation, without pause, cutting through resistance with mechanical precision. The HFY expected warriors of flesh and blood. What they faced instead were soldiers wrapped in exo-frames, each bearing the strength of tanks, each guided by tactical AI that made them more storm than soldier. Civilians fled in terror, warlords raged and fell, cities became graveyards. Above the world, Terran ships unleashed their fury. Not one strike spared, not one target left standing. Humanity's wrath was not a blade, it was a tidal wave, swallowing everything before it. Every world that had cheered the fall of Vera IV now burned under Earth's shadow. Every fleet that had mocked humanity now drifted silent, shattered into starlight. The galaxy watched in horror as empire after empire hushed their voices. The silence after fire. When the last human fleet withdrew, the stars were quieter than they had ever been. The HFY empire, once so proud, was broken. Their fleets reduced to dust, their capital in ruin, their warlords silenced forever. But it was not just the HFY who learned. Across the galaxy, the message spread. In hushed whispers, in fearful tones, one truth echoed. Never strike humanity, never provoke Earth. Their patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. No songs were sung now, no boasts, only silence. And in that silence, humanity stood, not as prey, not as sheep, but as a force older than vengeance itself. The galaxy would never forget the lesson. A single strike on humans, answered with annihilation. It began with fire, not the cleansing fire of creation, not the burning promise of stars, but the brutal, mocking fire of arrogance. The Zyrak Dominion struck without warning. Their fleets descended on the outlying human colony of Veros Prime, a settlement of farmers, engineers, and children. No soldiers, no weapons, no defenses beyond the fragile orbital relay station and a handful of civilian shuttles. The Dominion wanted a demonstration, not a battle. They didn't see humans as rivals, not even as enemies. They saw them as pawns. Weak things whose spread across the stars was an offense to greater species who had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The skies of Veros Prime lit up in a rain of plasma fire. The fields burned, cities collapsed, and the colony governor's last transmission was a desperate scream buried in static. No quarter was given. No survivors were spared. The Zyrak fleet commander laughed as the smoke spiraled into the heavens. "Let the humans wail," he hissed to his bridge crew. "Let them curse our names. This will remind them of their place. One strike and their courage dies." The crew hissed in agreement. To them, humanity was fragile, soft, a species that spoke of law, order, and treaties as though words had weight in the void. A people, too, civilized to seek vengeance. And so, the Zyrak Dominion recorded the destruction and broadcast it to the galaxy. They wanted the universe to know. Humanity could be struck, and nothing would follow. Mockery and celebration. The halls of Zyrak authority thundered with triumph. In their great crystal citadels, they toasted to their victory with venomous wines. To them, this was no war. This was amusement. "They will protest at their united Terran assembly," said one noble admiral. "They will speak of peace and restraint. They will beg for sanctions, perhaps, but vengeance, never. They lack the teeth for it." The Dominion's propaganda screens blazed with footage of Veros Prime burning. Across their empire, citizens jeered and mocked the humans who dared to spread their banners into Zyrak-claimed space. Other alien empires watched in silence. Some sneered, some pitied, but most believed the same lie, that Earth's people, for all their stubborn resilience, would grieve quietly and return to their farms, their councils, their endless debates. The galaxy had seen humanity endure horrors before. They had seen them survive, but never had they seen humanity's fury unleashed. The Dominion mistook patience for weakness. They mistook silence for surrender. Their celebration lasted exactly 6 days. The silence breaks. On the 7th day, the galaxy trembled. It began with comms blackouts, entire Zyrak fleets vanishing into static, outposts falling silent without distress calls, patrol ships missing their rendezvous, never to return. Then came the message, a simple, terrible broadcast carried on every frequency in every tongue. A voice, cold and measured, resonating with a weight no alien could ignore. This is the Terran Directorate. You struck our people, you slaughtered civilians, you celebrated their ashes. There will be no negotiation, no surrender, only consequence. Retribution begins now. The word spread like fire through the galaxy. Every species, ally, rival, neutral observer, stared in disbelief. The humans, the ones who had spoken endlessly of restraint, had abandoned diplomacy in a single moment. And then the fleets appeared. Human dreadnoughts, colossal and black as the void, emerged from slipspace around Zyrak border worlds. Carrier groups, battle cruisers, and entire flotillas surged forth in perfect silence, their formation precise, their weapons armed. The Dominion's arrogance crumbled the instant they saw the scale. They had thought humanity small. They had thought Earth's fleets limited, primitive even. But now they saw the truth. Humanity had been building quietly, preparing in silence, carrying a strength no one had dared imagine. And now that strength was aimed at one target. The storm of retribution. The first strikes fell with biblical fury. Human dreadnoughts, bristling with rail cannons and plasma lances, opened fire on Zyrak shipyards. Orbital rings shattered like glass. Star fortresses cracked open and fell burning into the atmospheres of the planets they were meant to protect. Entire fleets vanished under the relentless barrage. For every colony burned at Veyros Prime, a dozen Zyrak worlds now wept fire. Human assault divisions landed on garrisoned planets like storms. Dropships rained from the skies, disgorging armored marines whose weapons ripped through Zyrak defenders like paper. Civilians were not touched. Humanity's vengeance was not blind. But soldiers, officers, and leaders of the Dominion were hunted with precision. The Zyrak, once arrogant, once so sure, began to beg. Their leaders sent messages pleading for negotiations, offering tribute, offering apologies. None were answered. Humanity spoke only through fire. The galaxy watched as the Dominion's fleets were driven back system by system. They watched Zyrak admirals scream for reinforcements, only to find every fleet they sent cut apart with cold efficiency. It was not war, it was execution. The weight of annihilation. The climax came at the Dominion's heartworlds. 3 suns rose, and humanity blotted them out. Hundreds of Terran ships arrived in unison, their dark hulls gleaming with the reflection of burning planets behind them. The Dominion assembled its final defense, a massive fleet greater than any they had ever fielded, the pride of their empire, their final hope. It lasted less than an hour. The humans advanced in silence. No war cries, no broadcasts, only the thunder of weapons. Beams of searing plasma ripped through Zyrak battleships. Railgun slugs traveling at a fraction of light speed turned carriers into molten fragments. Nuclear detonations bloomed like artificial suns, erasing entire formations. On the ground, the last Zyrak citadels fell. Human armored divisions stormed the crystalline palaces of their rulers, tearing down banners. silencing the arrogant voices that had once mocked Earth. The dominion, once vast, once feared, was reduced to rubble and ash. One strike on humans had been answered with annihilation. The dread that remained. When it was over, the galaxy was silent. The Zyrak dominion no longer existed. Its fleets, its rulers, its pride, all gone. What remained were smoldering ruins and whispers carried through the void. Survivors, scattered across forgotten systems, told their children the same thing: never strike at Earth, never provoke the humans. The other empires of the galaxy trembled. For the first time, they saw the truth hidden beneath humanity's diplomacy and restraint. Patience, yes, but patience with limits. Mercy, yes, but mercy that ended when blood was spilled without cause. And when that patience broke, when that mercy was cast aside, humanity did not strike back with balance. They struck back with fury. They answered with annihilation. Across the stars,